If at any point in time you ever feel weak or like you're not good enough, you can always rest easy knowing that after 4.5 years, there are still people complaining about Breath of the Wild's weapon durability system. Wait. If you're one of those people, please don't leave. Please come back. Please, I promise I'm not that abrasive. Come on, I have something to say. Breath of the Wild is different from other Zelda games in many ways. It has a real emphasis on exploration, and after you get out of the Great Plateau, you're free to go pretty much anywhere. You discover new locations, new enemies, and new weapons. There are various weapon types in Breath of the Wild: one-handed swords, two-handed swords, axes, spears, you name it. In previous games, you were pretty much resigned to different kinds of swords, and it was a rare occurrence for you to be able to keep other types of weapons. Before Breath of the Wild, one of my favorite bosses in the series was Galactus. I actually don't know why I added that before Breath of the Wild bit. My feelings haven't changed because of Breath of the Wild. None of the bosses in that game wowed me. Anyway, I loved how you could pick up Galactus' giant swords and use them against him. Obviously, though, you couldn't keep them, no matter how hard I may have tried to take them out of the door. In Breath of the Wild, this is a normal thing in almost every fight with an armed opponent. You can make them drop their weapon, and then take it. But in this game, you get to actually keep it. Every one of the aforementioned weapon types has unique functionality. It's just that it's very basic functionality. In Breath of the Wild, there's none of the various situational combat maneuvers like you had in Twilight Princess, or the range of movement you had in Skyward Sword. In Breath of the Wild, weapons feel super basic. With the one-handed swords, you just slash until the thing dies. With the two-handed weapons, you do big slashes and big slams. With the spears, you stab, and stab, and stab. To make matters worse, the greatest combat option in any given situation is the Flurry Rush, which is actually pretty easy to pull off once you get the timing down, meaning that regardless of what weapon you're using, they all begin to blend together because they share the same homogeneous, busted mechanic. Now, given what I've just described, you may think Breath of the Wild has a bad combat system, but it doesn't. It actually has a pretty good one. Why? Because of the weapon durability system. Do you have any idea how boring this game would be if you could use the same weapon forever? Everything I just said would become exacerbated even more. Breath of the Wild forced you to switch it up every so often by having weapons break. It doesn't just encourage you to use different types of weapons, but to think outside of the box entirely. Maybe you don't want to risk breaking any of your weapons. Okay, then you start thinking about how you can take out a Lynel with just bombs. Hey, I mean, I'm not an elite gamer like that, but you do you. The durability system is one of the driving reasons behind people creating all these crazy combos and new combat scenarios in Breath of the Wild. The durability system prevents the combat from ever getting boring. You can't just run through the whole game with your favorite weapon. No, you have to have a plan, or at least think about when it's worth using, when it's not, all the while exposing yourself to other weapons and getting used to them. Not to mention that just from a game philosophy point of view, it wouldn't make any sense for the game to encourage you to do the same thing over and over and over again. This game's whole loop is about exploration, finding new things, and thinking outside of the box, so getting rid of weapon durability would not only make the gameplay worse, but it would actively undermine some of the game's core themes. I will say that I wouldn't mind a blacksmith or some kind of gear repair system like Skyward Sword has. It'd have to be really expensive or require some kind of rare material to retain the weight of breaking a weapon, but I don't think it would be too out of place. I also wouldn't mind a way to buff weapons. Some weapons come with ready-made buffs like Strong Throw, and it's odd that we can't apply them ourselves. Hopefully we'll see something like that in the sequel. I say this to say that there's plenty of room to improve the way weapons work in the future. I would love some of the Twilight Princess style abilities. I would love a blacksmith. But as far as things that need improvement goes, weapon durability is not one of those things. It actively makes the game better, and I couldn't imagine Breath of the Wild without it. Anyway, thank you for watching, and like that, we're gone.